I in fact had an encounter, I think it was about the 1st of August, with a State Department person who told me about the dismissal, the firing of our ambassador. It was said that the lady who was fired, who was highly respected, was fired because she would not go along with a political activity of the administration that they were trying to force, and she thought it was wrong, and she was fired as a point of conscience.
And that is Representative Steve Cohen right here on this show last month, where he was among the first to publicly bring up the issue of Marie Yovanovitch being forced out by the Trump administration. Well, now fast forward to this past week, where the former ambassador to Ukraine was on Capitol Hill testifying about just that as part of the Democrats' impeachment inquiry. Joining me now is Tennessee Representative Steve Cohen, a Democratic member of the Judiciary Committee. Welcome back to the show. Let's get right into this one. As we just showed you, you were right there when you first confirmed this story for us. But how crucial is it to this inquiry that Yovanovitch now gave testimony directly to lawmakers?
Well, she's respected, and she let people know that it was the whole Giuliani situation that forced her out, a career ambassador, who are becoming less and less, and that it was because Giuliani was running this kind of off the path diplomacy for Trump. And you got to think, why was Trump doing this around everybody, using the EU ambassador who doesn't have any connection to Ukraine, and using Giuliani and going around the traditional circles? Because he knew it was wrong. The process tells you the result, and the process was edgy, sketchy, to use one of Trump's words, shifty. Shifty Trump was trying to do something on the sides of the State Department, beneath Pompeo's direct vision, and certainly out of sight of the American public. Yeah, and this is someone who, I mean, Marie Yovanovitch was very well steeped in the culture of Ukraine, the diplomacy of Ukraine, the legality of Ukraine, everything about that country. So it is very interesting that she was pushed out. She's a professional. She came in the State Department when Reagan was president in the 80s. She served in Bush's State Department as an official, and I just hope there's not recriminations against her by this. You know, he got fired Andrew McCabe a day before he was going to retire to grab his pension, and I hope he doesn't do anything like this with her. Your colleague Ted Lieu spoke to me yesterday about the timeline moving forward on all this. Take a listen to what he said.
If we're going to proceed with impeachment, I believe it has to be done before the end of the year. We would love to fill in additional blanks, but there's already enough to draft at least one article of impeachment on the Ukraine scandal. There's already enough to draft at least one article of impeachment on obstruction of Congress of the American people. We're going to continue investigating, but we're not going to basically keep on investigating forever.
But can Democrats expedite the impeachment process without making it look political?
Well, for one thing, it is political. Right. That's what impeachment is about. But I don't think it's going to look political. I think the Republicans look political for disregarding their oath of office and not coming on board. We are going to try to get it done before the end of the year so we can go on with our agenda of building a better America through infrastructure projects and lowering prescription health care prices and having good, reasonable gun laws and protecting the environment. But right now, we've got to concentrate on the destruction of our Constitution. Trump has subverted the Constitution. He's abused his power by asking Ukraine to get involved and try to find some information to help him politically against Joe Biden, who he obviously fears. And we need to protect the Constitution and support our oaths of office. Trump doesn't care about his oath. Apparently, most of the Republicans don't care about their oath either. This is a very critical time in America's history, and I don't think the Constitution has ever been in as greater jeopardy as it is today.
So with the expectations with the hearings with Fiona Hill, Gordon Sondland this week as well, what do you want to find out from them?
Well, I want to know how much they went outside of the circles of proper diplomatic rails to do this investigation. I think Sondland's going to tell us that basically Trump was involved with him, but that he was just passing on Trump's verbiage. And Trump decided early on he was going to use this quid pro quo line as his defense. Sondland got it. Sondland mentioned it, but Sondland didn't know that. It's just more of the same from Trump. I think it'll be interesting if Sondland does break from him, if Fiona Hill, who's not considered a confidant and a loyalist of Trump, will speak up, and I think she will. And I think if this breaks the dam and has other people be willing to come forward and testify to other misdeeds that have gone on, it's pretty clear that Trump does not listen to anybody. We had his secretary fired this past week because he said that the way Homeland Security's policies were going, it wasn't appropriate, and they weren't being perceived the right way. So Trump fired him. Trump has fired more people than any president in history in this first term like he has. He said he hires only the best. He hires only the greatest. He lies all the time. He exaggerates. He has gotten rid of people because he can't stand criticism. He can't stand other people's advice. He has to be the center of attention. I think it was Meacham, John Meacham, who said something about Winston Churchill, who wanted to be the bride at every wedding and the deceased at every funeral. Well, Trump's in about the same ego category.
I'm curious what you make of the Washington Post article, which says that impeachment has put Trump into a different place. He's showing it every day. I'm curious what you make of the tone you've seen from the president lately. Is it more harsh than usual? I mean, how would you describe it?
The president's losing it. He is unraveling in front of the American public. At these rallies, it's like a face in the crowd. He's Andy Griffith in the face in the crowd. He could be Mussolini. He's a fascist who is afraid that he's losing his support, and he's going to his base to rally them, and he'll say anything, and the truth does not stop him. I've said that it's true. There's no commandment, there is no scripture, there is no law that this man won't violate. And right now he's very fearful. He's being cornered, and he knows he's done wrong. He knew he did wrong in the Russia investigation, the obstructed justice. But he got Bill Barr to lie to the American public about what the Mueller report said, and that took enough edge off to get them through it. The man knows no limits, and he threatens everything that's good about America, everything that the Constitution stands for, and we need to stand up as a Congress, and I think we'll do it, and I think he'll be impeached, and then the Senate will have to show their colors.
Let's get into quickly Turkey's invasion into northern Syria, with the U.S. official telling NBC News that the situation on the ground there is deteriorating rapidly. What is your reaction to what we are seeing happen there since the president pulled U.S. troops out of that area, gave the green light for that 1 week ago today, and endorsed Turkey's military operation against the Kurds?
Well, the president has an unusual relationship with Erdogan, as he does with Putin, as he does with MBS and Saudi Arabia. He seems to like bad guys, and he might have business dealings. We don't know that for sure. We know he has a Trump Tower there, but he's responsible for this by cooperating and retreating. And part of the retreat might be Russia, who wants to have an involvement and control in Syria as well. What's happening to the Kurds is really just, it's deplorable, and it's so sad. They worked with us. 11,000 Kurds died, Secretary Mattis said, only about a dozen Americans. They did the heavy lifting. They did the hard work. They were in the trenches, and they were working for and with us. Yes, they had their own agenda, but they worked with us on our agenda, and we should, for our future and for just good policy and ethics, support the Kurds and not leave them for this battle with the Turks. There's going to be a lot of deaths. There'll be a lot of innocent deaths. It'll go on for a long time, and Erdogan wants to wipe them out. I met with some Turkish officials right before we broke, and I brought this up, the idea of a buffer zone, where the Kurds would be on one side and the Turks would be protected, and America would be or NATO could be in there protecting in the buffer zone. They weren't at all interested. And it was pretty clear to me then that there was going to be a problem coming forward. This is something Erdogan has, and it's not going to help him. It'll get the PKK more angry and launching more terrorist attacks in Turkey. These things don't work. Diplomacy is a better way to operate, and Erdogan doesn't operate through diplomacy with the Kurdistan and the Kurdish people either.
Congressman Steve Cohen, thanks so much for coming on the broadcast. We'll see you again soon.